First of all, allow me to congratulate the Guyana Lands and Survey Commission and by extension the staff of the Guyana Lands and Survey Commission, both past and present, for your extraordinary commitment, love for country, dedication and selflessness that allows us to celebrate this 25th anniversary of yours. And I ask you to put your hands together for yourselves. The work of this commission most times go unnoticed or undervalued. And I say so because you're there before the madness and most times after there to settle the dust from the madness. And I give the example very often of the tremendous relationship I shared with the Guyana Lands and Survey Commission as Minister of Housing. In those days, we had to deliver a lot in a short time with limited resources. And I always tell people it is because of the Lands and Survey Commission that I know every single high dam, in every single back dam, in every single region. Because I took time as minister to work with the surveyors. And it is unfortunate that Guyana does not get to see the work of the commission behind the scene to get the development where we are today. And I want to really applaud and thank you for that work. Indeed, we live in a completely different environment today that requires a different degree of speed. It's a more complex environment, and Lands and Survey as a commission must be able to be interoperable with so many other agencies, whether it's geology and mines, whether it is forestry, the gas to shore, the urban plan, regionalization, the new infrastructure expansion, the one constant, the intersector of all the agency, all the development, all that is going on is the Lands and Survey Commission. A project can be delayed or advanced depending on the speed and accuracy through which the Lands and Survey Commission execute your job. So, to narrowly define the work of Lands and Survey as surveying is doing an enormous disservice and injustice to the work and the complexity of the work that is executed here at the Lands and Survey Commission. And I am truly honored to be here to celebrate with you the work that you've been doing. As I said before, you operate in a new environment where speed, complexity, and interoperability are your new buzzwords. Think about the infrastructure we've been able to deliver in the last 5 years. What we are about to deliver. All of this, every single piece of this puzzle, your imprint is embedded in that puzzle. And you ought to be proud that in every aspect of this journey of transformation, your imprint is there. Today your work is about planning, surveying, urbanization, regional development, and importantly, your work is about strategic alignment with national development priorities. If the management and the leadership, and even the surveyors and the technical staff, mapping, GIS, if they are not acquainted with the national development priorities of the country, then you will not be able to effectively carry out your task. So the work of Lands and Survey Commission is now entrenched. It is strategically aligned to our national development priorities. And with the Global Biodiversity Alliance coming on, alongside the Low Carbon Development Strategy, that work even gets more and more complex. And if I have to summarize what we are building here at the Commission, it's an entity that is system-based, people-centered, and service-driven. That is what we're doing. System-based, people-centered, and service-driven. And the objective in the next 4 years is to deliver an agency that is fully digitized and one in which we will fully implement the most advanced technology to help our work here in every department, in every aspect of our work. And that is critical as we advance the work of the Commission. It is therefore a privilege to join you as we celebrate the 25th anniversary of the operationalization of the Guyana Lands and Survey Commission. 25 years is a significant milestone in the life of any institution. It is a moment to celebrate achievements, to reflect on the journey, to recognize those who have contributed to that journey, and to look ahead to the future with confidence and purpose. Today is one of those moments. However, the story of land administration in Guyana reaches back centuries to the Dutch surveyors who first mapped these lands. The Roman-Dutch legal traditions that continue to influence our property laws, and the British institutions that later shaped the administration of public lands. The Guyana Lands and Survey Commission stands today as the inheritor of that rich and unique legal and administrative heritage. When the Lands and Survey Commissions became operational on June 1st, 2001, it marked the beginning of a new chapter in the administration of one of Guyana's most valuable assets, our land. Before then, the responsibilities rested with Lands and Surveys Department, an institution that served the country with distinction for many decades. The department played a vital role in surveying lands, maintaining records, and administering state lands during a period when Guyana's economy and development needs were very different from what they are today. But as Guyana evolved, it became clear that the country needed a more modern and responsive framework for land administration. The demands for the system were growing. There were increasing pressure for housing, agriculture, investment, and infrastructure development. Those within the administration that moved towards creating the Lands and Survey Commission understood that going forward required changes in the institutional arrangements relating to land administration. There was a need for stronger governance, improved service delivery, and greater institutional capacity. The decision to establish the Guyana Lands and Surveys Commission reflected a recognition that land administration was becoming increasingly important to the country's future, and that a more specialized institution was needed to meet the challenge of a changing Guyana. It was bold, and forward-looking. 20 years later, I believe history has proven that decision to be the right one. When many people think about national development, they think about roads, bridges, hospitals, schools, housing schemes, and investments. What they may not immediately think about is the work that must take place before any of those can happen. Before a road is built, land must be identified and surveyed. Before a housing scheme development can begin, boundaries must be established and records prepared. Before an investor commits resources, there must be certainty about land ownership and land use. Before communities can expand, there must be proper planning and management of land resources. In other words, development begins with land. An effective land administration is what transforms land from a physical asset into an engine of economic growth and social progress. That is why the work of the Guyana Lands and Survey Commission is so important. The Commission may not always be the most visible institution in the country, but its fingerprints can be found in almost every major development initiative in Guyana. Its work touches every region. Its service affects every sector. Its responsibilities impact the lives of citizens every single day. The truth is simple. When land administration works well, development moves forward. When land administration is weak, development slows down. Land administration is not just about maps, surveys, and records. It is about creating opportunities. It is about providing certainty. It is about building confidence. And confidence is one of the most valuable assets any country can possess. Today, Guyana is experiencing one of the most exciting periods in its history. The pace of development is accelerating. New opportunities are emerging. Investment is growing. Communities are expanding. New industries are taking root. All of this creates enormous opportunities, but it also places greater demands on institutions such as the Guyana Lands and Surveys Commission. The reality is that the land administration systems that served us 25 years ago will not be sufficient for the Guyana of tomorrow. This is why modernization remains a priority. And let me say openly that modernization is not something that can happen overnight. It requires significant investment. It requires technology. It requires training. It requires retraining. It requires retooling. It requires thinking continuously. It requires policy reform. Most importantly, it requires a clear vision. Our vision is for a land administration system that is modern, efficient, transparent, and citizen-centered. We want a system where information is readily accessible, where records are increasingly digitized, where services are delivered more efficiently, and where decisions can be made using accurate and reliable data. We want stronger geographic information systems that support planning and development across the country. We want greater certainty and security of tenure for citizens, farmers, businesses, and communities. We want institutions that work seamlessly together in support of national development. And we want a system that balances economic growth with responsible stewardship of our land resources for future generations. That is the direction in which we are moving. And the government remains fully committed to supporting that transformation. As you celebrate this milestone, it is also important that we in government recognize the people who have contributed to the success of the Commission. Institutions do not achieve excellence on their own. Their success is built by dedicated individuals who bring knowledge, professionalism, and commitment to their work every day. In this regard, I wish to commend Mr. Muniz for his leadership and his service to the Guyana Lands and Survey Commission, as I commend every single manager and worker here. One of the greatest assets any institution can possess is institutional knowledge, and Mr. Muniz brings an immense reservoir of that knowledge to the Commission. His understanding of the evolution of land administration in Guyana, his experience navigating complex challenges, and his commitment to the institution have been invaluable. He represents the continuity that allows institutions to preserve their strengths while embracing change. As Guyana modernizes its land administration systems, that experience and institutional memory will continue to be of tremendous importance. I also recognize the management, surveyors, technicians, administrative personnel, and every member of staff, past and present, who has contributed to the Commission's achievement over the past 25 years. Your work has helped lay the foundation for development across this country. And that is not an exaggeration. Because every thriving community, every productive farm, every successful housing scheme, and every major investment ultimately rests upon one fundamental resource: land that is properly administered, properly managed, and properly utilized. As we reflect on the past 25 years, we should do so with a sense of pride, but we should also look to the future with a sense of purpose. The next 25 years will bring new challenges and new opportunities. Technology will continue to transform how we work. Development will continue to accelerate. Expectations will continue to grow. The Commission must continue to evolve to meet those realities. You have a new planning playground, I will call it, as the road to Brazil continues to expand, as new highways continue to open up. You are going to have an exciting journey ahead of you. Complex, but exciting. Complex because we are already seeing lands that were and still are earmarked for agricultural purposes are becoming so valuable that the temptation to monetize these lands is a real one. And as you said earlier, we have to secure and protect those lands for the purpose they were awarded to, in the national good and national interest. That requires a commission that is proactive, a commission that is rule-based, and a commission that is inflexible when it comes to national development priorities. And I have every confidence that this commission will deliver. Because the story of the Guyana Lands and Surveys Commission has always been a story of nation building. It has been a story of helping Guyana grow. It has been a story of creating order, certainty, and opportunity. And it has been a story of ensuring that development has a solid foundation upon which to stand. As I close, allow me to leave you with this thought. A nation's future is not built only by the projects we can see. It is also built by the institutions that quietly make those projects possible. For 25 years, the Guyana Lands and Surveys Commission has been one of those institutions. It has helped provide a foundation upon which communities are built, investments are made, and opportunities are created. That is why this anniversary is worthy of celebration. That is why it is worthy of national acclaim. And that is why I proudly congratulate the Guyana Lands and Surveys Commission on 25 years of distinguished service to the people of Guyana. May the Commission continue to grow from strength to strength. May it continue to innovate, modernize, and excel. And may it continue to play its indispensable role in helping to build a stronger, more prosperous, and more sustainable Guyana. My dear friend, a unified Guyana, one Guyana, a solid Guyana, and a prosperous Guyana for every single Guyanese. Congratulations on your 25th anniversary, and best wishes for many more years of success and service to our nation. God bless you, God bless your families, and every member of this commission. Allow me also to ask you to thank your families for allowing you to serve. The Guyana's Lands and Survey Commission requires families that are tolerant, patient, and with a lot of faith, because you spend a lot of time outside of your home, faithfully so. So allow me to also thank your families for the sacrifice they made in allowing you to serve our country and our people. God bless all of you.
Excellency, President of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, Dr. Mohamed Irfaan Ali, representatives of agencies, special invitees, media, staff of the GLSC, good afternoon to all of you, and welcome to the Guyana Lands and Surveys Commission. We're extremely pleased to have you here for this simple but significant ceremony as we gather to mark 25 years of existence of the Guyana Lands and Surveys Commission. I would like to offer special thanks to His Excellency for gracing this event, because if I'm not mistaken, he would be the first sitting president to visit this office. And I have been around since 1981. Thank you very much once again. The Guyana Lands and Surveys Commission was established under Act No. 15 of 1999, with the commencement date being June 1st, 2001. It succeeded the Department of Lands and Surveys, formerly under the Ministry of Agriculture. However, Lands and Surveys, as we all know it, has been around for a very long time and has made significant contributions to the development of this country. Ordinance 9 of 1873 established the Crown Lands Department. The ordinance was called an Ordinance to make provision for the establishment of a Crown Lands Department and for the care and superintendence of the Crown lands, forests, rivers, and creeks of the colony. This preceded the previous positions of Superintendent of Rivers and Creeks. Regulations in 1880 provided for the conduct of Crown land surveys. And in 1892, the registration of sworn land surveyors began, replacing Crown and Assistant Crown surveyors with our own sworn land surveyors. That register still exists in the Commission and is currently being used for all surveyors qualified in this country. It must be noted that the Department of Lands and Mines was responsible for natural resources, as well as surveying and mapping. Forestry, land, and mines were at some points in their history together, with geological survey seemed to be separate under the Department of Lands and Mines of the Ministry of Natural Resources. The 1959 report of the Lands and Mines Department laid in Parliament listed lands, mining, and forestry as its activities. By 1962, lands and forestry came under the Ministry of Agriculture and Forestry. Ministry of Agriculture, Forestry, and Lands, Mines being notably separated. Department of Geological Surveys and Mines Division were officially integrated in 1965. Forestry and Geology and Mines subsequently became commissions in 1979, leaving the Department of Lands and Surveys within the Ministry of Agriculture until 2001, when we became a semi-autonomous commission under the office of the President. This spans a period of over 150 years, and we did leave our mark in this country. We have a very rich history in surveying. Popular names that have come up lately would have been Harry Innes Perkins and Charles W. Anderson, both surveyors being Guyana's representatives on the Venezuela-Guyana border. As a young surveyor growing up at lands, I recall seeing an almost 6 feet long iron pole bearing the initials HIP in our stores. I have come across some of those during my field career also. People like A.J. Chung, whose remains lie at the Casicaitu River, having perished and most of its crew, while doing the Guyana-Brazil border survey. Wilson Harris, famous writer, Aubrey Barker, urban planner, one-time president of the Commonwealth Association of Surveying and Land Economy, Arthur Chung, our first president, Edward Hopkinson, who was once the chairman of GCOM. They all were surveyors at some point. A.J. Seymour's great poet, his father was a land surveyor. I must say that after 25 years, even though the physical environment has not changed much, there has been significant development within the commission. This building was constructed around 1976 and has been our permanent home. After roaming from geological surveyors in Brickdam to the Law Courts building, I recall many of our clients would complain that we are behind God back. We feel vindicated now that we see many other agencies and ministries moving in their quest for space, parking, increased volumes of people. I think our elders choose wisely. I recall my first trip for an interview to Lands and Surveys in 1981, coming from the countryside. I took a bus and I got off at the bus terminal behind Brickdam Police Station. That was at Full Street. So I started walking. And I walked. I stopped at Geology and Mines in the back. They said, this is not the place. I crossed over the St. John Road. I stopped at St. Sidwell's. I had a friend from National Service here. He said, no, I don't know where that place is. I kept walking through Lodge, and I reached Kitty Avenue, and I looked ahead. I saw a bush. I turned back. There was a little shop about 5 houses away. That's the Bacchus family. Raymond Bacchus, I remember the guy. I said, do you know where Lands and Surveyors is? He said, cross over and keep walking. All I see was bush, but I kept walking, and then I found this building. And here I am still today. I nearly gave up. Changing from a government department to commission was not an easy transition. The organization structure was changed. Positions were made redundant. Management had changed. We had Andrew Bishop, a land use planner, as commissioner. New divisions were created. And a new way of doing business was emerging. We were required to be self-sufficient, earning our keep. This was more or less a form of new public management. Less bureaucracy, a flatter organization. There was just a commissioner, 4 heads, and the rest of the staff. No superintendent of surveys, 2 senior surveyors, and I found myself moving from a superintendent acting to a surveyor when I turned up on the 1st of June. Some of my colleagues opted to come off. Reddy, for instance, decided to go lecture at University of Guyana. This was coupled with the fact that GTI had stopped doing land surveying since 1995. I recall asking for my leave to decide whether to continue. And after 3 months off, I was called by Mr. Bishop and offered a position called Senior Land Administration Officer, which was equivalent to a senior surveyor, and I came back. GTI had started the course back in 1999, and around that time we had 40 students, 40 young people. 18 were sponsored by Lands and Surveyors. And those came on fresh from training by September 2001. And I can tell you, they gave me hell on the highway. Right? I took them out for their practice. They were the future of GLSC, the future of surveying in Guyana. And I am happy to say that most of them delivered. Deputy Commissioner Hudson, he's one of them. Regional Coordinator Monifa Dalrymple, she's one of them. I have surveyors, senior surveyors, Surin Sakai, the two Bandan brothers, Ian Garnett, SS Cadastral, Dexter Sam, Julian Benhams, right, who once headed Region 1, Dexter Chakan, heading Region 9, and there's Mr. George, who is in the genetic section. They are still here. Even the head of MMA survey section was one of that batch. The current president of the Guyana Association of Professional Surveyors was among that group. Many of them are in private practice now and forms a core group of experienced surveyors working in this country. We did, however, continue to train and sponsor many others that followed. Mistakes were made along the way. The rush for revenue, the speed of delivery brought many wrong moves. Litigations increased. We had to get lawyers. We leased out lands we should not have. People come to us and say, I saw a vacant land and would like to apply. We did so. Right? Sometimes people are upset, and we now realize that government land sometimes has to be left to do government business when the time comes. We cannot just give everything away. And as I'm saying that, we had an issue, I think yesterday, with the old toll station at number 62 at Oxtide. Somebody was trying to claim it, and we went to survey it to preserve it, because with the new highway, public works might need scales and different things. And there was a little standoff there, right? We developed SOPs, we increased staff training. Our staff pursued higher education. We moved away from that management style to a more hybrid approach. We saw the wisdom and benefits that our predecessors adopted for. Technology, we opted for technology to drive the process while maintaining strong legal frameworks. This organization has always been one that possessed technology. Since the 1980s, we had one of the better mapping divisions in this region. Modern cartographic, photogrammetric, and photomechanical equipment. I myself came on here at photogrammetry. I was trained by a Norwegian expert on the UNDP in photogrammetry and in photo interpretation. And some of the 50,000 maps that we see now, I would have worked on some of them. So the period 2001 to 2005 also saw the implementation of the Guyana Land Administration Support Project. GNSC was able to set up a lease application database, procure computers, introduce AutoCAD. We had handheld GPSs, total stations. We completed a computerized file system and a digital lease register from manual records. It means transferring everything from manual, from file into the system. Physically, looking at the lease and typing in everything. Also during that period, over 11,000 land parcels were subject to land tenure regularization and placed on records. Things were beginning to take shape. There was more control over what we did. Land use planning also became part of our function under the new act, and work commenced on regional plans. There were lots of training. IT was new to us. Tapes and theodolites were outdated. Around the world, we were still using that. I remember going into a survey store abroad, and they had in their museum two theodolites, and I was telling the guy, that's what I'm using now. And that was a museum piece. Right. This commission is noted to grow in spurts and spans various project cycles. After GLASS ended in 2005, there was a slowdown. We had Mr. Bishop given in 2008 and Durga Prasad in 2009. And that, we went back to our routine processing of applications and so on. There was also rapid staff turnover. We find that every project, there's a rapid staff turnover. People are trained and they move on, right? The bureaucracy started to creep back, right? Then we had the project, the development of land use project that came in 2011 to 2030. That saw some new initiatives in land use planning and land management. Prior to the project, the system of processing state land had slowed as the GLASS system needed some upgrading. DLOC developed and implemented a localized and computerized land management system. That is the system that we're actually using now. To automate the application, approvals, and file tracking. It modernized how spatial data, maps, and land resources are compiled and standardized for state development. The Commission continued as normal after 2015. Mr. Trevor Ben then took over as Commissioner in 2016. Routine applications process continued with some initiatives at upgrading technology. New divisions emerged as we had a full legal division, a full IT division. Land use planning became a full division. There was a lot of interest in the UN organizations. We spent a lot of effort on the UNCCD. Land degradation target, neutrality targets were set. There was a CRIP meeting in Guyana, and there was active participation in organizations like the UN Global Geographic Information Management that deals with spatial data worldwide. All these were good initiatives. The year 2018 brought with it the SLDM project and $15 million, which saw new energy and resources be injected into the system. While there were some good initial components at first, such as GPS technology, CORES network, there were many studies, a lot of grand plans to make GLSC into a highly profitable and self-sufficient agency and a center of excellence. Massive financial plans were drafted by big companies like PricewaterhouseCoopers. Draft land policies were developed. The CHPA, for instance, had to buy land from GLSC. Government ministries had to apply for leases and pay rent. In 2020, this new administration took office. These plans were no longer relevant or feasible. In 2020, land rents were returned to pre-2015 rates. Of course, our revenue dropped significantly. There was only about 2 core stations functioning at the time. We had $80 million in the bank, maturities and salaries to pay to the end of 2020, a debt of about $400 billion. But we managed, we survived until 2021. COVID-19 had its impact on the GLSC and basically put a halt to everything. It was not until 2021 that we made a restart. The SLDM project was revised to meet the expectations of the new government, which was more development driven. Land is a key component of any development initiative. Dealings with land had to follow legally defined processes. Surveyors are usually the first person on the land. They lay out the points, define the course of roads, its limits, elevations, landfills, provides coordinates, ensures that legal acquisition of the land is facilitated. Bold decisions were made to deliver. The GLSC therefore invested heavily in technology, its own infrastructure, and the human resources at its disposal to make that technology work. Cutting-edge survey acquisitions were made. Guyana now has 11 continuous operating reference stations, which we call our base stations. And I can tell you that we're proud of that. There are many Caribbean countries that I meet at various forums, and they want to come and see how we got it done. We have base stations from Skeldon to Essequibo, Bartica, Lethem, Timeri, Linden, and Tacama. To go along with this, we procured 18 survey-grade GPS rovers of the best class, which would give us sub-centimeter accuracy with GPSs. Several electronic total stations, smart stations, and digital terrain scanners, digital precise levels, plan plotters, other support equipment were all acquired. All these equipment supported by data loggers. We had to pay fees for license and upgrades, loads of training, and we also had a new fleet of vehicles. The commission was basically retooled to deliver the expected services. Over 160 computers were procured to replace aging ones, those that could not cope with the requirements of the software. Servers and off-site backups were also procured for the first time. We were using AutoCAD licensed software instead of the pirated ones. For our survey drawings, our surveyors carried tough-pad computers in the fields for field-to-office solutions. Investments were made in cybersecurity. Our legal division was beefed up and had access to digital materials. And I must say that our legal division has performed well with a very high success rate in litigation. Most importantly, we also restarted the Dispute Resolution Committee, which was defunct for a period of time. And that committee has resulted in settling matters out of court. We have also been able to scan about 90,000 survey plans and created a search index. This database is available to all our surveyors from their phone and in the comfort of their home. They don't have to come in to do research. We want to extend this service, and I think we've already met with the Judiciary and the Bar Association to extend this service where the court can actually see a plan on screen. Right? Instead of our surveyors having to take a plan to court, right, to present it. I am happy to say that we have delivered on every survey exercise to date. The entire Oval Georgetown East Bank Road network was surveyed by Lands and surveyors. New West Demerara roads were surveyed by the Commission. Even the new bridge alignment acquisitions were done by Lands and surveyors. The gas pipeline, power line routes, and thousands of acres of land for CHLPA. Currently, we are pushing the power line up to number 53 village. Right? As a matter of fact, we are currently working on 8,000 acres more land for this year for CHLPA to help them to bring their backlog in the other regions, except for, I think, to zero. Right? So we are in the process of surveying those lands. And by the way, these are not sold. These were transferred directly to housing. We continue to provide and survey lands for every aspect of development that is currently unfolding in Guyana. Housing, hospitals, schools, waste management sites, and you name it. I recall one Boxing Day, His Excellency called it ambulance hospitals. And I need so. I think we quickly found 6 sites, and 5 of those sites became reality. I think we only have to change region 2, right? And that's the speed we have to work with. I actually left my home in Boxing Day to drive up to Bath Settlement to look for that, right? In addition, we have processed and received over 9,000 approvals for leases up to the end of our 2025 MCA for the public, all over Guyana. As I said earlier, I've been around a long time, and as far as I know, no president has ever signed off on every individual application submitted by GLSC. His Excellency President Irfaan has done that and returned in a very timely manner. Right? We recently set up a task force under his instructions that is moving around the country. I actually did it. To inventorize the files at our regional office, remove dormant files, clear up the backlogs. And what we have found is that this has resulted in a significant decline in complaints at recent outreaches. They're the usual ones that we know. You know what? When you turn up in Region 3, you have a list of people that will be there. And they're going to be there next week, tomorrow. They're going to be there 10 years from now. Right? Most of all, most important of all, is our investment in the human capital in the Commission. I would like to see at this point that our staff, very dedicated, hardworking, highly skilled, qualified, and most of all, dependable. Imagine your staff coming to you to say, we just got back 3 schedules. So we'll work late, we'll work weekends, We want to complete these thesis and approval letters. Right? That was just last week. Saturday I had to be here. I had a huge bundle of theses in front of me. I spent almost the entire day to do that. Yesterday they brought us here with a bundle. Right? That tells you something. They are motivated and they do push very hard in here, right? So training has been the backbone of our resource, of our initiatives. During the SLM project, we ran diploma programs at UG in land administration, valuation. Many staff has pursued higher education at UG and through the GOLD program. Every year, several students are sponsored by the Commission to pursue land surveying at GTI. GTI has also been a recipient of equipment from Lands and Surveying under the SLM project. We support the training of the GTI students every year in their practice. What the future has for us. SLDM project had completed the aerial surveys of most of the coastal areas and acquired LiDAR data in all townships. We are currently doing map revision. I am advised that the Georgia map is almost 90% completed. We are producing a new set of maps for the country based on that information, especially the coastlands and the developed area. That is what we're working on. Now I've spoken about surveying, about, a lot of us think it's about marking boundaries. But for the first time in over 40 years, we have been able to revive our geodetic survey section and actually made tremendous strides in that area. Now, geodesy is a highly precise branch of surveying that measures the Earth's curvature over large areas while strictly accounting for the planet's curvature, gravity field, and irregular shape. It establishes the foundation coordinate framework used for all mapping and navigation. With the support of FAO under the SLM project, we were able to recruit Professor Keith Miller from UWI, an expert geodesist. We had the work done. We've completed the geoid model that was approved by His Excellency some time ago. And I can tell you when I wrote that letter asking for permission, I myself didn't know how we were going to do it because I don't know how to do it. Dewsbury didn't know how to do it. But we found a way. And it is now on a website called GLSC Geodesy. And it has all the information there. All right? We have been able now to develop our own Guyana-centric coordinate reference system. That's the lines and the numbers that you see on a map. Right? They mean a lot. Right? We are moving away from the provisional South American 1956 datum that was in practice since, I think, 1969. Right? In doing so, we are also aligning with the world geodetic framework. Right? And it is a foundation for mapping and for our initiative to move to a digital cadastral system. That's the framework we needed. We will shortly commence another project to prepare or update regional land use plans. And this time we are going to do regional land use plans for Region 3 and 4, which was never done. We're going to re-examine the draft national land use plan with a view of updating it. I really don't think I've done justice to the achievements over 25 years because time does not permit it. So I would like to conclude. Today's ceremony involves presentation of awards to staff who have given service for over 15 years to the Commission. Congratulations to you. To the 26 persons who have been here from the start, thank you for staying the distance. Your dedication matters. I would like to express my gratitude to the entire staff of GLSC for their hard work and dedication that has seen us through this far. I'm very confident that we have invested well and you have all made significant contributions. I've seen some of you grow over the years, expanded your knowledge, achieving higher education, and I'm proud of you all. To our regional staff, You're all a significant part of the GLSC. We've tried our best to make you comfortable by investing in new buildings and equipment. There's a new office in Bartica, a new office with accommodation in Port Kaituma. Crane office is a new office. New Amsterdam has a new office. Blackbush Poland has a new office. We will continue to invest in you. And don't be afraid, Skeldon. I saw the videos, I see one of them smiling there. I saw the videos, I sent it to His Excellency, of you standing in inches of water in the office. We have you on card this year, Skeldon, and then we'll move into Madhya to open an office in Madhya that has been closed since, I would say, the early 1980s. Right? So, by the end of 2026, I think, Skeldon, you will have some relief. I close by thanking His Excellency for all the support he has given to this commission since 2020. The many times he has bailed us out financially, for creating the opportunities for us to grow, for understanding the constraints we face, and for listening when it matters. Your tenure as our subject minister is greatly appreciated. Thank you all, ladies and gentlemen, for your patience.